Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Podcast with Neeraj, where we bring you honest conversations with extraordinary people who dared to choose purpose over comfort. I'm your host, Neeraj, and today's guest has a story that might completely change the way you think about success. Imagine earning a six-figure salary, working in one of London's top financial firms, and living the life many people dream of. Most would never walk away from that, but today's guest did exactly that. She resigned from her high-paying career to pursue a dream that everyone around her called unrealistic. Friends questioned her decision, colleagues thought she had lost her mind, and even her family worried she was making the biggest mistake of her life. Yet today, she says leaving that job was the best decision she has ever made. Please welcome Charlotte Evans. Charlotte, thank you for joining us. Where did this incredible journey begin?
Thank you, Neeraj. It's wonderful to be here. My journey began in a glass office, overlooking the London skyline. On paper, everything looked perfect. I had a respected position, an excellent salary, and opportunities many graduates would love to have. But every morning, I found myself staring at the train window, asking the same question: is this really the life I want? I wasn't unhappy because of the company or the people. I was unhappy because I had stopped listening to myself. Since childhood, I dreamed of building a company that helped young people develop confidence and leadership skills. When I kept postponing that dream, convincing myself that financial security mattered more, one evening after another exhausting 12-hour shift, I realized something frightening. I was slowly building someone else's vision while abandoning my own. That thought stayed with me for weeks and eventually changed everything.
Charlotte, I think that's something many people quietly experience but rarely admit. From the outside, success often looks impressive, yet internally, it can feel completely empty. You mentioned that the thought stayed with you for weeks before everything changed. I'm curious about that turning point. Was there a single event that finally pushed you to hand in your resignation? Or was it simply the weight of ignoring your dreams for too long? Leaving a secure six-figure salary in London isn't just an emotional decision. It's also a financial risk. Most people worry about mortgages, bills, family expectations, and the fear of failing publicly. What conversations did you have with yourself before making that decision? And how did the people closest to you react when you told them you were walking away from a career that most people spend years trying to achieve?
The turning point came during a leadership conference where I was supposed to feel inspired. Instead, I realized I was taking notes about someone else's success while ignoring my own dreams. That evening, I went home and wrote two lists. One described the life I was living, and the other described the life I truly wanted. The difference between those lists was heartbreaking. A week later, I handed in my resignation. People thought I was making a terrible mistake. Some friends told me I was throwing away financial security, while others said I would regret it within months. Even my parents were worried, because they had watched me work so hard to reach that position. But deep inside, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. For the first time, I wasn't choosing comfort. I was choosing a life that genuinely belonged to me.
Charlotte, that's an incredibly honest answer. I love what you said about choosing peace over comfort, because so many people confuse a high salary with a meaningful life. But I also know that passion alone doesn't pay the bills. Once you left your job, reality must have hit quickly. You suddenly had no guaranteed income, no corporate title, and no certainty that your dream would work. Those first few months must have tested your confidence in ways your office job never did. What were those early days really like? Did you ever wake up thinking you should go back? And for someone listening right now who feels trapped in a career they no longer enjoy, what practical advice would you give before they make such a life-changing decision? I think hearing the reality, not just the success, will help our audience make wiser choices.
The first 6 months were the hardest of my life. I went from a predictable salary to wondering whether I could cover my expenses. I canceled luxuries, worked from my small apartment, and sometimes questioned every decision I'd made. But instead of chasing quick money, I focused on creating real value. I started coaching a few students. Then schools invited me to speak, and eventually companies asked me to train their young professionals. Slowly, One opportunity led to another. Today, my organization works with thousands of young people across the UK, helping them build confidence, leadership, and career skills. Looking back, I don't miss the six-figure salary. I value the freedom to wake up excited about my work every morning. My advice is simple. Don't quit because you're running away from something. Quit only when you're deeply committed to building something better. Dreams require courage, but lasting success always requires preparation, patience, and consistent action.
Success isn't about earning the biggest salary. It's about building a life you don't need to escape from. Podcast with Neeraj.